Sunday, September the 25th, here on the beautiful Dauphin Island, here off the southern coast of Alabama. So we have the tropical storm Ian that is surely going to begin strengthening as it makes its approach into the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to have the 2 o'clock update. So it's almost 1 o'clock Central Time. The 2 o'clock update is in Eastern Time, so we should get that update here shortly. But I wanted to, as always, if I'm going to track a hurricane, give you the lay of the land, kind of how we set here. So I'm standing on the second floor of our house, and in that direction is due east. So that's the Mobile Bay. You can see it, and across the Mobile Bay is Baldwin County, Alabama. Gulf Shores, Foley, and as the crow flies a little bit further, we would get right into the Florida Panhandle. So I did notice on the 11 a.m. update that the cone had slightly shifted once again to the east, not by much, just by a little bit, and Ian is moving west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. So we're going to check out this 2 p.m. update and see how it's going. Again, I still think it'll jog to the west a little bit more. I really don't hope that we have another storm here in Dauphin Island. That way is my north, so in that direction is Mobile, Alabama. My west, Mississippi, is just across the way in that direction, and then the coastline, the Gulf of Mexico, is maybe, a couple thousand yards over that tree line there. So anyway, a nice beautiful day here, but if the storm moves in and comes in this direction, of course all eyes will be there. When these storms come in, the storm surge pushes in through the bays, or from the Gulf into the bays, and pushes water onto the backside of this island. So you can look at some of the other weather videos I've done. I think some like 300 videos over the past couple years, and you can really see some of the impacts that we've had here from even minor storms. So let's get a look at some information and see if we can put together an idea of what we can expect. Again, it's still a little ways out there in terms of relation to the Gulf of Mexico. It looks like landfall is projected to come somewhere on the Big Bend area of Florida, and maybe even to the west or to the east at this point Friday morning. So hopefully we get the eastern edge of that, and we don't have anything but nice weather here on this upcoming weekend as we have a tennis tournament. But if it makes landfall on Friday, we should have a good day Saturday either way. So let's look at some graphics and see what we're looking at. All right, so this is a picture of our local Doppler radar. Again, that blue dot is Mobile, Alabama. We are to the south of Mobile, Alabama. So we are on this barrier island that sits right here off the coast. So yesterday and earlier in the day yesterday, the cone was more focused to the east, so the edge was riding over here. So it's inched slowly to the west. So we're going to have to look at this 2 o'clock update and see if that cone has shifted. The pressure dropped from 1,005 millibars yesterday to 1,001 millibars today. So not a huge ramp up, but nonetheless, Ian is definitely going to move into the Gulf of Mexico and has a real good chance of being a monster type storm for sure. So I'm really curious to see what this 2 o'clock update says. It should be out in about 3 or 4 minutes. But once again, it doesn't look like a really good week, or weekend rather, coming up. The 2 o'clock update is out. Not a lot of change in intensity really whatsoever. It was moving west-northwest at 14 miles an hour. It slowed down a bit west-northwest at 12. And the pressure remained at 1,001 millibars. I'll go to another picture here in a moment. The organization of the storm still hasn't found a clear center of circulation. Once that happens, and that it shall do, you'll start to get that northwesterly, maybe even due north or northeasterly curve. But we need that convection to happen to do so. So we still don't have that defined center. It's still trying to take shape. Once it hits that Gulf of Mexico, rapid intensification is highly likely. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, and you can see again, we are right here off the southern tip of Alabama. Let me grab my pen. So we are right here, and that cone, again, area of uncertainty, is coming right across the Gulf Shores area, which is just across the bay that I just showed you. So we have to prepare for this one, and anyone along the northern Gulf Coast should. Even New Orleans, we can't rule out even a further westerly jog. So we'll keep our eyes on it. Let's look at a couple other things. All right, the latest spaghetti models, you can see some of these on the western side have kind of approached the area in which we are. Again, still the main agreement is that the Big Bend area, Apalachicola, maybe closer to Panama City at this point is forecasted to take the brunt of it. So the intensity models have stayed pretty much the same, as most of the models have it contained at around a category 2 to category 4 upon landfall. Again, remember that these storms kind of ebb and flow as they traverse the Gulf of Mexico. They get powerful, they kind of stumble a bit and then re-energize. So we're forecasting that this will, obviously happen before landfall. But I think once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, I think a monster will brew. So here again, along the bottom is time moving forward. Here is wind speed. So landfall again, potentially going to be sometime around Friday morning. So whatever happens at that point, who knows at this point, but there are estimates of category 4 storm, category 3, category 2, all of which cause major impacts. But let's keep our eyes on this one, and hopefully this storm goes away. A live look at the actual Doppler radar showing no real defined center of circulation, so it's still kind of hunting for that convection. You see it's beginning to occur, but we really haven't had those high cloud tops, that strong storm formation around the center. But once that convection begins, see if I can change my pen color here to something more visible. Once that convection begins that counterclockwise movement, the tendency of these storms is to pull more towards the northwest and then off to the north or northeast. So anyway, I think it'll be a much different story here in the next day or two. And I think we should know maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, have a lot better idea where this storm's going to go. So Hurricane Ian, hopefully, buddy, you don't get too big and strong. We've had enough of you guys. So take care. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll keep updates coming here live from Dauphin Island as much as possible, especially if this cone begins to shift more to us in the west. All right, take care.